Hello everybody and welcome to today's game. My apologies for getting into this one a little bit late. Fnatic have just taken the pistol round here on Dust2. We have had a heap of technical issues, but finally we are ready to roll with the match. My name is Mitch, alongside myself will be the beautiful Dean, and we are here on Dust2. A surprising pick coming out from ENCE in all honesty. We'll see what they'll be able to do with it as we roll on into round number 2. They're on Glock, so Dean, I don't think we're going to see a lot from them here.
Nah, not going to be a lot going on in this round, and I guess that could give us a little bit of time to touch on the veto. As you said, this is the pick of ENCE, and I don't really know where else they could have gone, because really recently ENCE have only been finding success on a couple of maps, being Train and Inferno mostly. Coming into this matchup against Fnatic, you see Train being banned pretty much instantly because it is one of the maps that Fnatic, sure, they played a little bit, but not very often. They're like, yeah, we get rid of that. Inferno then just being a very strong map for Fnatic, so that's another one that ENCE maybe could have risked picking just so that they could have a map that they would have felt really comfortable on as well. But they've gone for the Dust2 picker, because when they did play each other like 5 months ago or something like that, they were able to get a win on it. Obviously, since then, Fnatic have picked up their level a little bit, and I do think that this is going to be just a very difficult series for ENCE in general. If they can bring it to Inferno, I think that maybe that could be a competitive one, but again, if Fnatic are playing like we know they can play on Inferno, then it'd just be a tough one in general. I think most people do expect Fnatic to be the ones coming out on top of this series, and right now against that eco, this round should be straightforward. 4 already, actually 3 at that point, 4 eventually for Flusha. And yeah, pretty simple. Not a single casualty coming through. Keeping everyone alive. They just have to reinvest into a bit of utility, and this is where ENCE get their guns. And if we want to see them doing too much in this series, in my opinion, they need to get going early. They need to pick up this open and gun round and show us what they're capable of. And this is their chance, obviously, with a few weaker weapons still being in play.
Yeah, for ENCE, I mean, for this whole veto, I'm quite surprised with how things went down. I expected ENCE to pick into Mirage to start it off, if anything. The amount of grounds they could have found that would have looked good for them were very minimal, but they had success there versus Fnatic. Yeah, you're talking 6 months ago, but, you know, it's the only thing you could really look at. Dust2, though, it's all about aim. Maybe they think they can bridge the gap here, but we've seen Fnatic. I mean, even look back at Katowice. Navi were one of the teams that were dominating on Dust2, and Fnatic took them down in a pretty impressive feat. Their T-side especially. So it's important for ENCE to get off to a good start in this buy round, and they've managed to get the first kill, even with Sergey losing quite a bit of HP, and also force Flusha back from the short control. At this point, I'd be surprised if they decide not to go towards A, but Ariel is listening here to try and catch any rotates off moving through middle. But as they don't spot any, we'll see them now finish off and take that little bit of short control and see if they can work anything out from that point forward. But you can see Fnatic have nobody on the bomb site. They've got long control still, but ENCE are no strangers to going in for late long.
Yeah, definitely something they might be considering. A second player has been moved in that direction as well, but let's see what the goal is eventually going to be, because for now they are still just looking to make sure they can get this short control. They realize now that no one's up close. Smoke, I believe, going down just towards short here. Could give them the option if they want to try and drop into the CT spawn, but over on long, we do eventually see Prince actually getting one. Doesn't expect it to be followed up, so with that, Alu at least is able to trade. And now over towards the ramp, there's a player that's got in a very difficult position, being Brolan. Not really able to do too much as he gets blinded and taken down. Golden then trying to rotate into the CT spawn. And as you said, no one on that bomb site initially. By the time they all rotated in, got in position on the bomb site, unfortunately already the T's had just closed in the distance. They were being surrounded in on, being pincered from both angles, and that's the issue with the A bomb site. If you lose both long and short control as the CTs, it becomes near impossible to hold and becomes pretty much impossible to retake as well.
Well, ENCE needed that round, like I said. Now they face off against just pistols, and so this should be a second on the board. I'm really worried about this T side of ENCE. If they don't get themselves up with a convincing barrel of rounds up to the 8 or 9 that they'll really need, then I think Fnatic are going to have their way with them when it comes to the attack. Like I said, back at Katowice, they were incredibly impressive up against Navi on this map in particular. I was only going back and doing some analysis on that recently, and it was an impressive feat from them. Fnatic at the moment are stacked up on short with a couple pistols. The flash can go through from Flusha, and you'll see them then peek out afterwards and hopefully find a couple of frags. Strategy that could work for one, but as Crims gets shut down, it's increasingly likely that Fnatic walk away from this one with not a whole bunch done. They have still got 2 players stacked up on short, so Flusha and JW, a little bit of a chance with the Deagles, but ENCE have got plenty of utility to flush them off these angles and push into the bomb site cleanly.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea that they went for something there with the flash. They had Brolin try and peek the doors there as well. Once the short peek came in, see if he could catch the time, and just didn't work out. Still a small chance here, though, having 3 Deagles. If they can drop 1 or 2 players, maybe even steal away a rifle or 2 that they could save in this next round, it definitely could still be a relatively worthwhile round. It's not like they invested all that much into this. They'll get 1900 in the next. It'll give them enough to buy in a pretty good position on the majority of the players. Maybe JW will be a little bit low. Even then, we'll be able to get his rifle and a few nades behind it. But here we go. Eventually, this push does begin to come in. Nicely placed Molotov on the bomb site. That should flush JW out into a much harder position to hold from. Immediately back on the ramp. Still has a decent angle, to be fair, but that Molotov making it hard for Sunny to really see what's going on. Eventually, just decides to focus on flush it instead. And there it is. Aluid actually the entire time had just been creeping out of tunnels. So he comes through and cleans up from behind. But yeah, second round for ENCE. They only end up losing one player. They can be pretty happy with how that round went. But as I said, now Fnatic, they do come back onto this buy. They're going to have the rifles on everyone. If they wanted, they could have got like a glass cannon up on Golden, but I doubt that happened. Never mind. Okay, they go for it. I was doubting it, but they decided that they do actually want to give this a shot. What's the spawn like? It is actually pretty decent for mid, so we might see him try and find a pick early just because they know, of course, that they're not actually up against an offer. Decides to play it safe, though. With this, he can solo B. So yeah, it's given them the opportunity to gamble stack long, which they kind of need with so little utility. But it might not work out because right now, 3 players focused in tunnel.
ENCE putting the 4th in there as well. Heavy B control early, but they've left their doors open with Sergey looking at long doors. He's holding for any pushes and still giving them that opportunity to move in towards A a little bit later on if they want to, ensuring Fnatic don't get overly aggressive on any of these angles. But you can see Fnatic are pretty happy to play a super passive side. In fact, short is completely open, and at this point, ENCE could simply waltz on through to the A bomb side if they decided to. But we know, based on how ENCE have been playing so far, you'll expect utility to come through. They've heard the flash on short. Smoke's about to be thrown. This is where Fnatic should get a little bit afraid that they're going to leave that bomb side and have to go in for the retake through CT and long. But in fact, ENCE don't seem to want to take A. It looked to be selling that little bit of a fake, the smoke, to delay any further info from coming through on the A site. And later on, they'll be splitting in through middle where Crims has got a big task on hand.
Yeah, and unfortunately only able to get 1 kill before going down. Roland was nearby to give some assistance, but again, the trades are just available for Fnatic. They're slowing this down. They've dropped the bomb in mid, and Golden ends up coming out with a double on that AWP before falling. And the main thing being, as I said, that bomb getting dropped now in mid, that puts Sunny in a very awkward spot trying to actually retrieve it, working against the clock. And currently against that Molotov that Flush is thrown down to try and delay a little bit further, just using his utility, putting it down on the bomb itself, ensuring that it really is going to be cutting as close as possible for Sunny. And in the meantime, it's given time for JW to just wrap in behind on the B bomb site. Even if Sunny somehow was able to get that bomb and run back in time to start planting it, JW just does a free kill, and even then he doesn't make it in time. So indeed, Fnatic going to be able to snatch that one away. A great hold from Golden and just around mid in general.
Well, now that patches us up to a 3rd on the board. Fnatic not going to be in the best of positions economically, though, and we know ENCE have got the money in the bank to contest. And in fact, they end up walking into this round looking that little bit better. 2 SMGs making an appearance for the CT side. So despite losing the round, ENCE actually kind of end up in a better position overall. Looking for an early long push. Alu on his way in with the op. He's got a victim. And with Brolin falling, Fnatic are now at a bit of a disadvantage. They've stacked up heavy for that early long fight, but ENCE aren't looking for it anymore. They're happy to slow down the round, and so the CT side is pretty much in tatters here. The one benefit is that they weren't spotted as 4 players on long. Alu only saw the 1 player come around the corner, maybe the corner of the second, but that's only gives away the fact that it's a standard long hold, right? I think if they'd have seen those other players, they would have immediately hightailed it to the B bomb site, smoked off CT, and probably had the round over and done with by now.
Yeah, but knowing that there was still that long control coming in with at least a couple of players, they did make the decision to go and get that short control, which may just work out for them. I mean, JW does want to try and re-aggress her, which is going to be very dangerous. Doesn't hit his initial shot and decides to drop back down where he can get the help of Flusha, but still just trying to pick these up, not really being able to connect, and at this point, forced back into the spawn. Flusha going to be forced back over towards long. And with that, just going to have to concede this plant now. I mean, they're still in a pretty decent position in the 4-on-4. They have the op that can maybe try and pick someone off. They still have Flusha with that long control as well. It really comes down to these initial kills on short. And it's Sunny who's up close, who's able to find one. No immediate trades being found. JW, though, taking his time. Okay, going to wait and see if anyone else will show themselves. Obviously, it's JW. He will go for the knife. Unfortunately, that's all he gets, though. I don't know. It's not like he could have done much better with the op once he shot off the first round anyway. Likely would have been traded on, but yeah, a little bit of extra money with the knife. Flusha, though, forced to just run away at this point. He's just been chilling on long pretty much the entire round.
I'm just going to be saving over there on long. The AK at least carried through to the next round, but like we were hinting at, that's a pretty big problem for Fnatic. Again, their money isn't going to be fantastic here. Flusha can probably drop one, but outside of that, I mean, you've got 2 players double eco. How do you want to approach this? You want to leave a weapon over to Brawl or Crims? Golden and JW force buy up. It looks like that's going to be the play. But still, again, it's going to be ENCE walking into this round with a huge economic advantage, and should they win this one, they're then up to 5. As Fnatic would have to take an eco. That's a huge play early on from them.
And something that they do need, as we said, coming into this VO in general, it has just gone a little bit of a tough way for them with Mirage and Inferno coming up next, 2 maps that, of course, Fnatic are very strong on. Dust2 also being a map that they're definitely capable, so I do still think that this is going to be a relatively competitive map, but as you pointed out, this one, of course, just being the fairly weak force buy. 2 rifles are able to come out. A few nades, I mean, they're very, very limited, but they're trying to save what they can for a little bit later in the round at this point. And ENCE are taking their time because they know, obviously, they're not going to be up against the greatest of buys, but they are aware of the fact that they've reset the money, that Fnatic are going to string together whatever they can. And you never know what crazy sort of stuff they might be pulling out in this round, but already a little bit of contact now being taken around mid. Crims instantly being forced back off. That's really just given the room for ENCE to move forward and try and get that short control now for themselves. Just keeping a standard. I mean, we're not seeing anything too crazy from them early on. Just playing out these defaults, getting the control, and then using that to decide where they want to hit.
Well, so far it's working. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I like this from ENCE. They're not forced into taking any crazy plays like the B rushes. Although, I gotta say, with the exception of maybe G2, most teams just don't use those flashes above the B skybox. I think whenever you've got those faster plays, actually, that may be a lie, because I've seen a couple of teams recently, even when we were doing Pro League, trying it and missing some of the attempts. But it happens. It's going to be a split towards B in the end. They're already out on the bomb side here. This is a little bit risky. JW down below with the Deagle in hand. He's good for 1. Picked up a rifle, but again, before he can get to use it, is dispatched with. And at this point, Fnatic should really be going for a save. There's 8 seconds, but it's quite likely the bomb gets planted. And Crims is the only one that can really stick around and look to force anything else out in the end. You're not going to want to retake in this situation. And those 2 rifles are valuable and unobtainable in the next round if you do lose them here. As we alluded to, Fnatic won't have any money.
Yeah, they're definitely backing away. Crims, I mean, he's low health, so I don't even think it's worthwhile for him to try and get any exits with the Deagle and Kevlar. I was going to say maybe he could have tried to steal away another weapon, but not really worthwhile. He likely would just go down without really being able to find anything. So he is going to also just try and bring the Deagle over alongside those rifles. And I mean, overall, that gives them a little bit to work with in this next round, especially if they decide they want to go for something maybe a little bit more aggressive, perhaps. So far, they've been getting kind of beat out on long a lot of the time. We already seen them try that short aggression once though with the pistol, so that's something maybe that they'd like to go back to. This time, obviously, having a couple of rifles as well. And before, they did only have actually Crims peek off the back of the flash. So there definitely is still a couple chances here for them to try and get something done in this weaker round. But overall, we are, of course, expecting, as you said before, ENCE to be able to get themselves that 5-3 lead, which is a great position for them to be putting themselves in so early here on this map, especially after, of course, going down by 2 rounds after dropping the pistol. And indeed, I think they are going to boost some players up towards short. Crims going over, Golden as well. Flusha actually entrusted over towards B with that AK, so he's going to be soloing on this side of the map. And it looks like we will find very quick contact here on short. Indeed, the head of aerial just about to pop up. And once it does, Golden should spot it. Has JW as well nearby, only having a USP though.
ENCE waiting for Fnatic to make a move this time. They know the kind of buy they're up against, and they know those 2 weapons were saved. It's about playing very cautiously and avoiding giving them any openings. They know the M4 now is over towards short, and so still looking to hit in towards the A bomb site. That's a bit of a curiosity for me. But I guess they suspect that maybe that AK is on B then. If they split the rifles a little bit, they'd certainly be right in that assumption. As Fnatic fall back to the bomb site, they've given up long control, allowing ENCE to claim that and look to move. Oh, I was going to say to move into pit, but Sergey is actually stuck out in the open. Talking about the open, Sunny just walks into B, which is now completely open. Flusha coming back in, spots the player, and sprays away to take him down and save the day. But sadly, Well, not actually that sad. He spots out no one else's B. That info then gives him the fact that it's probably going to be an A hit. Crims tries to push forward, can't get anything done. Golden caught out in the open in CT, not a chance, and Flush is gone too. Well handled by ENCE. Losing one player there is pretty acceptable, especially as Sunny was trying to sell out a fake on the B bomb site and did so very successfully. That said, though, pushing around the smoke after shift walking through tunnels was probably a little bit of a heavy risk, right? When you know you're up against, at most, upgraded pistols for 3 players. I probably would have liked to see a more reserved push as a team, but I guess they also wanted to check out if it was maybe going to be an A stack or something like that. And losing the one player isn't going to hurt them much.
And it's just trying to go back to what was working for them earlier with this immediate long push, trying to get the control. This time actually sending the second player out to commit to it. And Aerial, with that assistance from Alu, finds a quick headshot. Sergey, if he can return this, should give them that full control. And in the meantime, Sunny has also just walked up short, so they've got this A bomb site already. Unless Golden from the spawn is able to pull off some sort of a miracle. And it does look like he wants the challenge quite heavily. The issue is just not expecting Sunny to be up close already. Brolin, he's just done. There's nothing that he can even try anymore in this 1-on-3. Without the bomb having even gone down already, he realizes that his only option is to just run away and save.
Yeah, absolutely. Brolin's got no real opportunities to get in for a 1v3. And again, the value of this M4 is to be called into question. You've got to bring it through to the next, because buying one up is going to be pretty damn hard, if not impossible. 6 rounds on the board for ENCE. They're certainly starting to allay any suspicions I might have had of them being at a disadvantage when it comes to Dust2. Because I do want to see them up there. 7, 8, 9 rounds. 8 or 9, really, to be comfortable when they're up against Fnatic's T side. I think that's where these guys are going to shine and where ENCE could really face a big challenge. But the fact that they've gotten off to such a good early half, this is the foundations already built. And look at that money. I mean, bank accounts are in pretty poor, in disarray. For ENCE, look, Sergey's got 12.5 grand, 11 on Alu. There's so much cash right now over on the T side. It's going to be so difficult to beat them back now, right? Because ENCE, if they lose a round, yeah, no problem. They're buying up. Lose a second, still no worries. They're back with more. So Fnatic need to have consistent buy rounds. And on Dust2, that can be really hard to do. Like winning consecutive rounds, you know, rifles versus rifles, 3 in a row before you break an economy. It's not the easiest of things.
Yeah, just in general, as you said on Dust2, it can be difficult to just stop the momentum of the team, especially when they're on that T side once they get going. It's definitely tough, just because there's not a lot of different things you can try as the CT side, so if one thing isn't working, then it's a little bit tougher to swap up as it might be on some other maps, maybe a little bit more limited and such in the actual CT aggression that you can go for, as already we've seen them attempted towards short a couple times. Right now, though, this is, of course, another round where Fnatic really don't have much to work with. As you said, ENCE are likely going to be going up to 7 rounds, which gives them that strong foundation, the ability to try and add a little bit more to it, even come out and potentially come out with a very strong half. But for now, we do need to see if they can overcome these pistols. I mean, 1M4, we've seen less do a lot more. And especially in the hands of Brolin, the man who was the MVP back at Pro League for Fnatic. A nice shot, a nice attempt, rather, nearly being found for Alu, as the player below him was blinded. It was a crazy flick, though, wasn't quite able to connect it. Fortunately, he does stay alive, that's the main thing, and gets a little bit of info about what was going over towards that A-bomb site, spotting 2 players, I believe.
And with 30 seconds left on the clock, ENCE have got no choice really but to finish on A. They're going to have to walk straight past the CZ that's up close. Push it in the corner, looking to catch Sergey, but he comes out trying to spot the info, and unfortunately he got it, but it came at a pretty heavy price. Crims has managed to pick up an AK here with the drop down by Aerial. That's a bit of a mistake. JW out on the Deagle, looking to catch them, but he can't. And being shut down now. The 3 players in CT look to do it, but tapping away. Sergey deals with, or with Brolin, excuse me. And the bomb plan comes through just in time. Crims has the AK, but he's stuck in the corner. Getting out of there is going to be pretty difficult. Luckily, Sergey is actually pulled back, so he's got a chance. He's running for it, hightailing it, and covered by Golden, he's made it away.
Yeah, Golden with this M4 probably also wants to retreat. I mean, it's still definitely recoverable from this point. 7 over to ENCE. If Fnatic can bring it back up to 7 or 8 themselves, I think at that point would still be feeling pretty comfortable. And being able to actually save over a couple rifles here, give themselves a as strong of a buy as possible in this next round. I mean, obviously with the full loss bonus, they probably wouldn't have been struggling anyway, but it still helps out, especially for Crims, as you said. You obviously can't get the AK yourself on the CT side. Having that one shot to the head ability is always nice. But ENCE again actually taking a relatively clean round. So that's one thing that probably isn't going to be an issue in this half, is the economy for ENCE. Because even if we do see Fnatic starting to take all the remaining rounds, by the time ENCE's economy was running down, they'd probably just have the loss bonus funding them anyway. So it's definitely a tough spot for Fnatic to be in. They really need to start picking up the momentum at this point. And we actually see a pause coming in from ENCE. A proactive one, I suppose. Knowing obviously that Fnatic are coming back onto the buy right now. They're just like, okay, this is an important round. Sure, we're leading 7-3. But if we take this, we could be leading way more convincingly. We could end this half potentially 12-3, and that is going to be their goal, because they know how important this map is. As we said, coming into this veto in general, most of the maps do look quite a bit better for Fnatic, on paper at least.
That's the thing. I mean, even moving on to Inferno, which is the better position for ENCE to play with, you've seen Fnatic play it 12 times and win 9, and that's against the best teams in the world. And considering ENCE's current form, there's no position in this veto I think could have went a whole lot better, unless ENCE maybe decided to leave Train and not ban it, but that was the only thing they were going to ban realistically, as Vertigo is taken out, obviously. So realistically, there's no way it could have went better, but I don't see a veto system that ENCE are happy with. Any kind of it switches our thoughts over towards thinking Fnatic are in trouble. But so far this start from ENCE has been pretty damn scary. Managing to pick up those 7 rounds. The opening's going 1 for 1, which obviously puts the T side at that little bit of an advantage. The weaker defense. Map's the same size, but he ain't got as many players to defend it. ENCE again looking down towards middle, having already made it out to get control. Their smokes are pretty low though, so they've got to be fairly selective with where they deploy these. Only 2 remaining. It looks like it will just be a smoke in towards CT and a push up B ramp. Not even sending any players through tunnels at the moment.
Yeah, this is an interesting approach. I mean, there's still a bit of utility towards B also to try and delay this. They have one smoke that they can put down towards the door. They allow them to focus maybe more so towards one of the choke points. As now they will begin to move forward indeed. I believe just being spotted there as well, so they call it over. Golden ends up jumping up, taking down Sergey with a quick headshot. For the moment, though, they aren't really aware of the fact that everyone is coming in through mid, so you can see they're both kind of just hiding out. Golden was more so focused on the tunnel. At this point, realizes that there's at least one more player around that mid door, and actually lines them up as they try and come through. That's the bomb getting dropped, leaving it all on Alu, who they do know is back towards mid. Already taken one with the up, but I think he may be limited to that. Actually gets the leg on Golden, but he's just running out of time. There's 14 seconds left. He's pressured, of course, to just try and push in with his pistol out, and that is an easy frag for Golden. 4 for Fnatic. They're finally able to pull another one back for themselves, but as we said, 1 is not going to be enough. Ideally, they need to start getting... well, ideally, they want all of the rounds that remain in the half if they really want to be feeling happy going into that second half. But just in general, they need to get at least 1 more here before they drop one. Obviously, they can't really put a dent in the economy of ENCE, but they themselves not having really built up any money. If they were to lose this one again, would probably just be looking at an eco. And that's unfortunate. Roland's gone. Straight through the smoke, straight through the gap in the door. Alu is just like, yeah, you got 1 round, but that's it.
Where's Flusha with the opening onto Aerial, backing off immediately, looking for the site. Finally, an opening that's not answered back on. Fnatic, man advantage. And ENCE are going to have to claw this back. JW goes out for the peek, and he suffers. Sergey takes a bit of damage, but that's from his teammate. And down goes Flusha. Out of nowhere, Fnatic are now behind in the round, locked out of the site as the bomb makes its way over, and a plant comes through. Short and long control goes towards ENCE. A Fnatic, I mean, this was working out so well for them, but JW getting taken down for free just left the bomb site player with his pants down, getting split in from short and long. And I mean, really, we should be looking at a save yet again. The money isn't great. These 2 rifles need to be dropped over to Flusha and JW later on, but these CTs are going forward. Fnatic don't want to give this one up.
Yeah, they want it. As you can see, Flash goes in to give them some sort of an opening. Sunny's the man who's holding off from long and is the one who takes that first point of contact and actually does find the kill. Golden only able to return 1. At that point, he was already just backing away, though, trying to save what he could. That was an interesting round. I mean, Alu got the kill straight through the smoke on Brolan, who was crossing over, who unfortunately is not having a very good game so far, and definitely is a player that you look towards for Fnatic to be up towards the top of that scoreboard. But I think the kind of idea there from ENCE was when they just kept rushing A, I think they figured that maybe having actually killed Brolan while he was crossing over would potentially pull a second player towards that mid/B side of the map, which I don't think was exactly the case. Crims was still down there. There was one player that pushed up on short, one fighting aggressively towards long as well. So Fnatic were kind of just challenging everywhere that they could, and despite those couple of openings actually being pulled back, it does just collapse. And at this point now, ENCE, they want to switch it up. They're going for a straight up B rush and they're not finding anything so far. Sunny gets one, and they are aware that there's another player on the bomb site. Unfortunately, though, Golden playing around that smoke snatches one away, and at this point, he's just trying to waste as much time as he can to let his teammates rotate in.
Sunny's got that bomb, and as soon as the smoke fades, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. 3 players all around him. He's going to go in towards CT. Didn't quite catch the angle down below, but he sees JW now, catches a play in the window, and he's looking for the second, but JW escapes just to get domed a second later. They know Golden was on the bomb site just a few moments ago, and so off to A. What a round by ENCE. What a turnaround. And as Golden starts to move down, he's flashed. He has no idea Alu's still waiting here at the tunnels. As the bomb makes it onto the site, steps being made by Golden. Alu should be hearing them. And going out the doors in just a moment. Sunny knows he's there. Move back towards short where the bomb is planted for him. Again, Fnatic off to a decent start. Well, a fantastic start, really, but one individual play later, and they're behind. Golden spotted Sunny, but here comes the swing from Alu. Can't be expected to be in that position that late on. And 9 on the board for ENCE. They've already done it. They've won my favor for this map. They certainly look like they can bring it across the line, even despite Fnatic's solid T side. And again, look at the money. The CTs have got nothing to play with, and a pause comes through. Long has it been awaited?
Yeah, I mean, the issue is that they can't really focus on this round anyway. They're most likely going to be, okay, we buy a little bit in this one, we try and put up a fight, but most likely ENCE do get to 10, we come in with the guns in the next round, and try and salvage a 5-round half at that point, which wouldn't be the worst CT side. They definitely still could recover from it, especially with a pistol win. Suddenly they could bring it back up to 8 rounds or so. But just right now, I mean, I'm surprised by how strong ENCE have been playing. Fnatic have been just looking great in general online lately. Obviously, being able to win out Pro League, also then during the European closed minor qualifier, also doing fantastic. If I remember correctly, I don't think dropping a map throughout that. So I'm kind of surprised at how flat they are looking so far here on Dust2. Definitely not getting the individual performances that we expect. I mean, Brolan, as I said in that last round, at one point was 1 kill and 9 deaths, was able to redeem himself there with a couple eventually coming in, but we need to see it obviously in these rounds now where it matters. Fnatic looking to try and salvage a little bit on the CT side, and this could be a chance. I mean, X7 pinned in that corner will be naded. Fortunately, it's Counter-Strike. Loads of other little nades don't come out with that nade, so he just survived.
A little bit of a dig. And not the biggest fan of Ray's Dean, are you? Although you play her a lot.
It's because you steal my characters.
They took her characters. JW with an opening. Alu's down. The molly to try and stop them from taking that AWP, but Ariel knows there's going to be some players close. Bit of pressure on lower as well, and JW's made it in and out as quick as can be. JWP back towards the bomb site where he looks to hold down. Blocked off by the smoke, but he might catch Sunny coming up the ramp now. He decides to bail off the angle. Moves in towards the CT spawn. Saving this off in the next round would actually be huge for them, but another kill comes through. Now the game plan changes. It's time to go in for this potentially in a 4v3 with an AK in hand. It's definitely winnable, and it looks like long control is what they're going for, but X7 hears them. He knows there's at least 2 out. Catches a bit of damage, and he can just wait here and get a crossfire. But his teammates know he challenges again, even on low HP. ENCE might just be throwing this one away.
As you say that, though, I do realize Sergey has a fairly confident position. Unfortunately, not able to actually get that lineup like it looked like was possible, and now it's all on Sunny. Everyone's tagged up heavily, but there's still a decent amount of time at this point, and Brolan just runs in with that AK, gets the headshot, and I believe does just about have this defuse. It's going to be extremely close, though. I'm slightly clenching. Oh, he doesn't have it. It was so close. I couldn't tell. I actually just couldn't tell it was that close. That is very unfortunate, and kind of fortunate for ENCE, because I mean they nearly let an eco slip away.
Yeah, well, by 0.001 of a second, they just about managed to win it. I wouldn't call that a win on a normal day, but at least they've managed to get double digits, and they've still got the cash to invest here. Fnatic only managed to save forward the AWP as well, so some pretty big impact coming through by the CD side, but a shame they didn't manage to get their 5th on the board. I mean, that should have been theirs. And ENCE, double digits, 8Ks and up. They move down through middle immediately and open that up, leaving Brawlin to hold down on B by himself. He's being split. 4 players coming in through the CT spawn. And as he looks up above in window, he, oopsie daisies, catches Alu, but is immediately traded out. And although normally they would be saving this, Fnatic have to go for it. It's the last round, and look at X7's position. This could be dirty.
Yeah, at the moment, just really trying to hold off this rotation as long as he can. And with this is hearing, I believe, all of the footsteps at this point. So he's allowed for his entire team to just focus in. A flash comes through. It allows for Sergej to get that initial frag on the up. Follows up with a second. The next 7 did pounce there in the middle as well. 11-4 for ENCE. I mean, there's a few fairly close rounds in there, but overall, they were pretty dominant on those gun rounds. Especially the ones that they did win. I mean, even the ones that they dropped to Fnatic, as you have a look back at the scoreboard, normally Fnatic only surviving with a couple of players or so. So we never really got to actually see Fnatic get going. And a reminder, Fnatic at one point were up 2-0. They won the pistol. They were able to take the round off the back of it. Once the guns came out, it was just all ENCE.
Yeah, I was saying towards the start of this, I wanted to see a good T side from them because Fnatic looked pretty dominant when they swap over to the attack. But at the same time, man, this is a little bit exaggerated from ENCE. It's insane. 11 rounds on the board. They're having their way with Fnatic. And again, we were wondering about map picks when it came into it. Dust2 seemed like, you know, it's a map ENCE play, at least. It's certainly one that Fnatic play. ENCE have yet to get their win on it, but I think, what was it, 16-4 they lost to Godsent a month ago? I think it was exactly 1 month ago. And that's obviously a pretty grim finish for them. But still, being able to bring things over to this position where they are just dominating, I don't think many people would have predicted it.
No, I definitely wouldn't have, just from what we've seen from them lately. More so what we've seen from Fnatic, just because they've been looking very, very good, especially with the online stuff that we've been seeing lately. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking ENCE, okay, we'll probably get their normal selves. I'm looking forward, obviously, to seeing what they can do once they do have Yampy in what tournaments, whatever he's going to be playing with them. But at the moment, this 5-man here is looking very, very cohesive. I mean, they just slapped Fnatic around in that first half, pretty much, if I'm going to be honest with my words. Not meaning, though, Fnatic can't come back and do the same. I mean, it is the T side of Dust2. As I said, once a team gets momentum going, it can be pretty difficult to stop it. So there's nothing to say that Fnatic can't come through with just as strong of a T side, potentially even stronger themselves. So I am looking forward to seeing if they're going to be able to redeem themselves a bit here. If not, I do still think that we're going to be seeing that 3-map series at least.
Yeah, the thing for Fnatic that concerns me is the fact that we saw them get ahead in so many rounds. You know, the 4v3s where they were getting at least a 1-for-1 on long, grabbing the opening pick on short, and then all of a sudden, ENCE just waltz in, big plays being made by the likes of X7, by Sergej, and things just fell apart. The Fnatic with man advantages, with solid holds. I mean, look at the round that happened over towards B, where they had Sunny, I think it was, with the bomb trapped in the doors. That round was pretty much a foregone conclusion, and all of a sudden, he pulls off a 2K, sneaking through the doors, an angle they should have been aware of, and pulling the round completely back. It's concerning to see them just let go of so many leads, and hopefully we don't see that coming through from them on the T side where they get to dictate the pace of the rounds.
Yeah, I mean, there was that one. There was the one with the very, very near defuse that was maybe a couple milliseconds off. Just all around, there was a few chances for Fnatic that they definitely did let go. Not all of them being their fault, such as the defuse, but right now they're actually just going to straight up rush B. I mean, not wanting to go at anything too crazy, keeping it simple and just looking to try and hit their shots. And so far, they are actually managing to do so. Brolan, Flusha, and Crims all joining in. It was actually Flusha, I believe, finding one around short there. May have been in mid as he was holding off the rotation, but leaving just 2 players now for ENCE. Sunny and Alu trying to come in. They do have a kit. They have a flash, thrown both of them over, but unfortunately not finding any openings off the back of it. So Sunny already being dinked up, looks to fade away, but that's not going to be allowed. They don't let him run away and save that defuse kit. A convincing pistol round comes through from Fnatic, and that's what you need from them. The issue is, though, that we even seen them pick up the pistol back on the first half, get the second round as well off the back of it, and they still weren't really able to do much then. As soon as the weapons actually came out was when they started to fall flat. So I'm hoping that we see a little bit more from them. If they can take this round convincingly, if they can come into that first gun round and show us something good, then perhaps that's when I could start believing that the comeback could be a reality.
Yeah, I don't think winning this round is going to really puff us up with confidence, right? ENCE just on USPs. They 5-man stacked on B. A lot of danger here for Flusha. He's got the Mac 10, so some money-making potential, but no kills found. Immediately, though, they're going to start pushing A. They realize there's at least 3 players there in tunnels. Brawlin's a bit late, throwing the molly down, but he's spraying them through, and almost the ace to come through. Still, a second kill for ENCE. I mean, overall, this is a pretty damn good round. They invested nothing, and they walk away with 2 kills. I'll take those odds.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to be upset. And so far, JW is not connecting the scout shots like he's been trying to. Eventually, we'll get it. I mean, Brolin was very, very close to being able to pick up the ace right there, which, I mean, even Brolin being able to get the 4K there for himself, just as a little bit of a confidence builder, is definitely something you need to see. Because as I said, at one point, he was 1-9, now 11-12. So getting his own score up, maybe now he can start feeling himself a little bit more. And also, since he's on the T side, obviously, with a little bit more freedom, this is perhaps where he can step up and be what Fnatic do actually need to make that comeback a reality. As we said, though, this is the round that we're looking towards to actually see if it's going to be possible or not. If they can get this first gun round, I think that's when a lot of people can start believing, okay, yeah, they definitely can make this happen. So far, though, just taking things slowly, nothing too crazy coming in. I mean, we've seen ENCE many, many times just rushing straight out towards long. Fnatic not really going for anything quite as quick, instead just splitting up, waiting to see what they can find across the map, feel out the defense, and also see if ENCE were going to try something maybe a little bit riskier coming into this round. Not too likely, though, obviously. They do know that the utility obviously going to be an issue also, so I guess trying to run down what they can.
That little bit of control for Fnatic down towards short, something they seek quite a lot. Spreading into defaults and then late hitting this is very common for them. That's a much more aggressive molly than what we normally see. You're usually going to see them start to move down, throw their smokes out on short, and then spread out into taking the later control. But because they've given up long at this point, it's probably not going to be an A hit. Usually we see from them, if they don't have that control towards long, at least one player lurking outside of it within the first 50 seconds or so, they're going to be hitting over towards the B side or just single committing through short, which is far less common for them. And immediately there, they're opening it onto Sunny. That's a brave push by Sergey. Another player swinging out. ENCE are taking this defense very, very proactively, and it's working for them. X7 in there with one, looking for the second on the side itself, but couldn't get it done. And so a 2v2, but the bomb is still left to be planted. Alu catches the kill, in fact, as Brawlin trades, but look where Aerial is. He's already on the side, and I don't know if they're fully aware of this. Looks like the suspicion was in, and Brawlin with the headshot to close it out just in time. Sub 10 seconds left on the clock. 11-7. And Fnatic keep it rolling. Again, the CT struggle for cash.
Yeah, Brawlin's actually managed to go ahead and boost himself into the top fragger role right now. Nothing too crazy considering no one's really fragging like a madman over on the side, but a strong gun round, strong 3K there, and the clutch from Brolin. Nice attempt though. Alu actually been able to deny that player jumping over, and then of course having the quick flank through tunnels. Could have been the end of that round. Fortunately, Brolin did expect it. A nice flash was placed over, and as you said, this round here probably not going to be too much of a fight from ENCE. They have a few pistols being upgraded a little bit more than we've seen from them earlier on, to be fair, when they did actually get some damage with just the USPs. So you can never count them out. This time, though, not really going for anything as crazy. Instead of going for any sort of aggression, instead just stacking up towards that B bomb site and hoping that they will have a couple people push in. And I mean, Flusha, he does go scouting. The thing is, though, he spots 3 players. So at this point, as you said before, as soon as that stack is spotted, we're going to see the T's just immediately rush it towards the other bomb site. And they've gone ahead and taken both long and short control again, which makes it quite difficult for the CTs to try and attempt that retake. Although I don't know if they want to hold short. Yeah, it looks like Brolin is going to stick around. Needs to be careful. He's actually got spammed through the smoke.
Prims is tucked in a pretty good position. The only problem is if he falls at that point, ENCE managed to pick up an AK long control and the possibility to really get back in there, but no kits. Now they've lost those two, so it's just going to be playing exits here realistically. Alu moving forward with the Mac 10 in hand. He sees nobody on long, but he's not checking his close corner. Oh, Crims. Not another one for Fnatic. He's got the patience, the discipline to not go for it as he swings through for the kill. Ariel's just going to hold outside of doors, and I doubt they exit here completely. It looks like JW's thinking about it. I mean, he just cleared close with the AWP as well. That's not really the weapon I'd want to be committing. If he had died, if Ariel was stacked up close on that box, that could have been an AWP saved over. No one could have traded. That was very, very risky.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it definitely would have helped them out because they're actually going for a double op setup. I was going to say Alu gets his op all right, but it is a bit limited without the helmet, which isn't really a necessity when you're on the CT side, but also nades could be a little bit better. They could have some kits. So it definitely would have helped them out, but it's still a decent buy here from ENCE. They are looking, of course, to try and get something going here on the CT side before it really does begin to get out of hand. One positive being, though, Fnatic really aren't building up quite as dominant of an economy or as strong of an economy as we've seen from ENCE in their early rounds, so there is still definitely some chances here for ENCE if they do pick up a round to immediately put a dent in that economy. Right now, though, good damage already being found by that op initially, and then Golden trying to creep out mid ends up getting caught by X7, who I believe was just playing around a smoke. So this is looking much, much better. Indeed, ENCE with those ops, not only finding a kill, but also tagging down 2 players relatively heavily. JW is just actually going to walk straight up mid. Right now, Fnatic just trying some wild things, realizing they are in a very difficult spot. JW somehow not able to connect that shot there in the CT spawn, and it's actually the flank that I wasn't even paying attention to that comes in and just immediately cleans up. Roland being so low, can't even afford to try and trade it. He's just left hiding in the corner, and by the time he does peek, Alu is ready to come in and help his teammate out.
What a huge flank coming through from Sunny. The double kill essentially leading to the third. Flusha catches Sunny continuing to aggress, though. Looking into T spawn, poking the beast. The Flusha is eventually taken down by the long-range AWP shot from Alu. And with that, ENCE finally get back on the board. A really, really solid aggression coming through from ENCE. You could see that they were being conscious of it, right? I think this is something you can read into. If you see a team on their T side being aware of certain pushes, whether it's on train and they're over-committing towards holding Ivy at certain points, ENCE here on the T side, they always had a man. Even when they were going to hit B through a mid-split, they would leave Sergey outside of long doors on A. This is the kind of aggression they like to push for. And there's the flash going above B. I like it, but the molly slowed them down, unfortunately. Yeah, once you focus on defending a certain part of the map more actively than maybe most do on your attack, it probably means on your defense, that's where you like to get aggressive. I think that's certainly played through for ENCE there.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it looks like it definitely, of course, is going to be that B commitment. I was going to say, the thing is, are ENCE going to give them many openings? And yeah, both of them just kind of swing on the tunnels. That's a very peculiar thing to go for. Sunny right now playing around the smoke, unfortunately, not going to be given any chances either. Brolin just spams them down to find another opening yet again towards this B bomb site. The round is over. I was very surprised that they all just decided to swing right there. All 5 players were ready, just holding the tunnels. They didn't really have any info about what was going on elsewhere, so I guess the goal was try and maybe push into the tunnels, see if there's anything going on. But obviously, as soon as those B players go down, then no one's able to rotate over quickly enough. At that point, you've definitely lost the bomb site. It was only the one man who could really do anything, and even then, ideally, you didn't want him pushing in the 3-on-5 on his own, but he had to try and make a play happen, and once it doesn't, the round is immediately over. For surviving as well for Fnatic, looking a little bit better in this one. 9th round going to be found, and obviously ENCE again with the loss bonus being at least 2,900. They will still have a pretty decent economy here, so they will be able to buy, especially with the 2 weapons being saved over. If they want, Alu can drop another secondary op as well if they want to rock it again on Sergey. So it's still going to be a decent enough investment here, but Fnatic slowly but surely are building their way back into this map. And as we did say, this is the map choice of ENCE. Coming up next being Mirage. It could be a little bit of a struggle for them.
In the past, at least, ENCE managed to take Mirage, as we were saying earlier on. That was 6 months ago. But Fnatic, I think it's fair to argue, are a different team now than they were 6 months ago, just by a tad.
Online as well. Fnatic online have been looking great.
Oh, look at this push coming out early on from Fnatic. Sergey makes it around the corner, goes out to try and answer back, but he can't find a kill. They've lost long control. But it isn't the worst. At least they've already managed to aggress up here with Alu on the other AWP, looking to catch a bit of short aggression from Fnatic, stealing away that bit of control. But Fnatic leaving Brolin down in the pit. He's just holding down there as the rest of the team looks to retake mid. I think Alu might be under a little bit of pressure here, especially as he's used so much utility. That's a very nice nade. Does 30 damage to JW. It could have been a little bit better, especially when you're dealing up against the AWPer. 30 HP off isn't going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah, it's certainly not the end of the world. It may stifle the aggression just a little bit, especially wanting to avoid any sort of utility that's been thrown in. But overall, it definitely does leave Fnatic in an overall better spot right now in terms of the health. Sergey just chilling around on mid, so nothing crazy right now in terms of the hold, going 2 towards either side of the map. They actually have 2 players pushing in through tunnels, so that should find them quite a bit of info quickly here to work with. The question is, how quickly can they actually react to it now? Because already this commitment is getting ready to come in from both short and long. Golden finds Aerial up close. Actually, Flusha being left to hold the lurk is going to be able to get one as well. And now it's all onto just one man around this bomb site. And even then, he's been forced back down into the CT spawn. Unfortunately, not able to get any vision over the smoke either, but they will still look to try and work in together from short. X7 finding one gives a bit of an opening. And to be fair, only now has the bomb managed to go down. Issue being they only have a single flash in terms of the nades, so that's all they really have to try and create some space as they move forward here on short, and it's unlikely Fnatic are going to give them any opportunities to find these openings. I mean, they have one player on Goose, one on the ramp, who can just hold the crossfire with each other for once the push did actually come in close. They also then have a player over on the long corner who can help out too. So they just weren't given any opportunities. ENCE realizing that are like, okay, we have to just back away and save again. Full loss bonus in the next round. With that, we can manage to scrape out a buy. Sunny can buy for himself. We can drop Aerial and Alu. But it's 10 for Fnatic, slowly but surely. I mean, they definitely have begun to look a lot better on this D side, and they're kind of flipping the script at this point. Not implying there is a script, because people on Twitch chat will take that wrong. I love that. I'm always like, that's not what the script says. Hang on.
It's just our own little interpretation of how things should be going.
People.
But definitely, this again feeds back into what I was saying earlier on about ENCE on their CT side. Well, not necessarily their CT side, more so Fnatic on the aggression on Dust2. This is where we saw them make that, bridge the gap up against Navi and Katowice, as I was saying. An incredibly dominant series against one of the best teams in the world as well. So for Fnatic, this is definitely their strong suit. And a fast push out B. Hello, Flusha. Jumping up in the air and taking X7 out. Jumps again to avoid the shot of the off. And that will be the plant coming down on B. There's utility absolutely everywhere. This is the problem for ENCE. They've got to go save, really. Unless they get offered an opening very, very quickly. When you push into a round that quickly, Fnatic have got a lot of util. They have 2 mollies. They have 2 smokes left. They can keep you out of B for a long time. And they have an op, which is just fragging onto Alu. If they lose the site, maybe a minute in to a push coming through, maybe a split, then you can try and retake in a 4v5. I have no quandary with that at all. The issue is when it happens in the first 10 seconds, what if they wasted 2 smokes at most, really? A few flashes. They still have mollies. They still have smokes to keep you out, to run that clock down and make sure you don't get a lot of advantages. Playing exits here for ENCE was probably the best opportunity, but even still, there's so much money for Fnatic. Even though they've lost 2 players, buying back up will cost them practically nothing. And another round on the board brings them closer to equalizing, and again cements the fact that their T side is a huge, huge hurdle for ENCE to overcome. One that so far that CT side hasn't been able to do. And now I think this is the ideal time to call a pause, because they can talk about the strat for this round, how they want to run it out. And in the next, their money isn't going to be fantastic, but with the loss bonus, they will still get a buy up. But I think that's then when things end. Fnatic win this one and the next, then there's no money for ENCE, and all of a sudden the T side are running away with the game. So better to call it here and be safe.
Yeah, you don't want to let it get out of control. I mean, the only pause we'd seen from ENCE so far was when they were up 7-3, I think was the score at the time. So, I mean, it definitely makes sense for them to call one now that their lead is actually beginning to kind of slip away from them. Only having that single round so far kind of in the middle of what we've had from Fnatic so far here, which is a very strong T side. And again, the only positive at the moment being that they do at least have that full loss bonus gone. So with the fact that they've been able to save for these last few rounds, they've always been able to bring over a couple players, continue to get these buys. So at least they're not being bounced back and forth between the half buys and the full buys. But I mean, that doesn't matter if they're not able to actually do anything with these weapons. As you said, though, that previous round was a little bit unfortunate. I mean, as soon as they lost one player on B without having anyone else nearby to rotate in, it was pretty much over. And you can see in this round, that's kind of forced ENCE to stack up a little bit more towards that side of the map. They have 2 players in mid, 2 in the B bomb site already. And it might be the correct decision, because for now, Fnatic, again, are pretty much fully focused towards these tunnels, apart from 1 player back in the spawn.
I'm curious to see where Fnatic's endgame is here. Stacking up early in the tunnels and not getting a whole lot done. They spread out. Nobody spotted on short either. ENCE are playing this one super tight to their chest, which again shows how important of a round this is. Leaving short completely open, knowing Fnatic are not the kind of team that are going to just shift walk up through short. If anything, especially without long control, they're going to be going in for executes. They're going to be smoking on the corners and then actually moving forward, making a lot of noise as they do. But it looks like it's going to be B in the end. They've got their smokes for door already thrown through the roof of the B skybox, and the spray's coming in. X7 finds a kill, but they refocus. Fnatic starting to move in towards middle as they take down Alu, and now they're going to come up for a split a little bit later on.
Oh.
This is dangerous, but there's 3 CTs on the side. What is the push through from Sergey, though?
Yeah, that was a very dangerous push. I mean, they had a chance there to try and hold off the choke points together. They had the smokes down, I guess, feeling like they needed a kill before the T's begun to actually swarm the bomb site itself, but it did kind of end up costing them. Good work by Crims. They're closing that out with a quick headshot on the up. But yeah, honestly, I was really worried for Fnatic there because there was 3 players still on the bomb site, which I didn't think Fnatic were going to be expecting at all. There were smokes down towards window and door. I think tunnel was smoked off as well. They have 3 players. They can all focus on a choke point each. And of course, a bit of utility coming over could have destroyed them. So I think that's maybe why ENCE were feeling pressured. They were like, okay, we send Sergey out. If he can get 1 or 2 kills quickly, then there's still 2 players left on the bomb site. They'll probably only expect 1 more at that point. We have a good chance to hold it down. But it backfired. Sergey fell immediately. Fnatic, they take themselves a 12th round. And hence, this time, having the fully buy up, it's not really going to be quite as strong as we've seen before, having actually not saved over any of the weapons. Instead, the 2 ops coming in, Sergey already being tagged down. There's a FAMAS in terms of the weaker weapons. Very little utility, no defuse kit if it does come down to a retake. Lots of weaknesses right now for ENCE in this buy. It looks like there definitely is a chance for Fnatic to go ahead and try and get themselves back into the lead for the first time since round number 3.
Been quite a while. But for ENCE, I think there's a lot of pressure mounting. I think they're starting to get that little bit scared. At 12 to 12, they're not getting any access on the CT side. And again, if they lose this one, you're on 14. Fnatic are bombing ahead, looking to do the same old strat again. Like we said on the ENCE side, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And it's going to be a push in towards B with a split through CT. Molly lands a little shy, but it's not too bad. A big hold has to come through now over towards this site where Sergey is already lit to 2 HP. And very quickly, both players fall. That was a bit of a lightning round. Brolin continues to aggress through the smoke to eliminate Sunny, ensuring that they save even less. And with ENCE having no cash, this is so valuable for Fnatic. They can afford to lose all the rifles they have, but if they take them out of the hands of ENCE, that is a worthwhile trade at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the economy there. Brolin has just been ridiculously confident and aggressive throughout this entire T-side. I mean, in the early rounds, rather, he was just willing to rush straight out long, was swinging past the smoke to peek straight up towards the A-bomb site and everything. And just now, I mean, just willing to run through smokes time and time again, just chasing people down, no fear. And as you said, they are indeed trying to see if they can take away these 2 remaining weapons. I don't think they'll really be able to do too much, though, unless they continue to peek on the ENCE side. Although, as I say that, there is still a couple of seconds for them to close the distance, so indeed Alu has to face up initially. Okay, managed to get himself the second. We'll see Ariel as well being able to actually shut down the long doors push. So with that, they do manage to survive over and retrieve a second op to give themselves now in this round. So a good opportunity. I mean, ENCE, unfortunately, not going to have the greatest money, of course, behind these 2 weapons. So we do see, again, a pretty limited buy. And they are, as you said, actually most likely just going to be conceding over the 14th. Or that would have been the case, at least, if they hadn't got 2 ops to work with in this one. So, I mean, there's definitely still some chances here. The question is, what are they going to go for? Are they going to keep it standard? Or are we maybe going to see them take some sort of a gamble, perhaps push somewhere together, stack up one of the bomb sites as we've seen before? Or is it just going to be what we're seeing now? Nothing really too crazy. Couple players up close long, 1 player pushed up on short, and then kind of just standard with one player towards mid and 1 up close on the tunnels actually at the moment. Oh, that shot is connected. Unfortunately, not getting the kill. JW, though, being tagged up heavily, very early in the round.
Could help the pistols to close it out, or indeed Ariel, who's holding down with the UMP on short. The up spread out here. Sergey is looking to move forward. The nade pulled. He might just make a move on the back of that. Flusha could be in trouble, but Sergey's a little slow. He's being spotted, and the spam almost finishes him off. Flusha got the discipline not to overpeak, and as a nade lands on top of Brolin, the health of some of these Fnatic players is definitely going to be a big play or a big factor to come into play as they push through to short. If Alu finds this first kill, the remaining players are both very low, and that could be easy for Aerial. There it is. 2 kills coming through. Sunny with another on the P250. JW's got low HP, and he's the last alive in a 1v5. And Fnatic, this was their round. It was for free, Dean. Pistols for the most part, and yet here they are. The Ops not even playing that huge of a role. They lost it to the UMP for the most part. JW's got to pull off a 25-second 1v5. He's been flanked out on long as well, and now he's mollied out. So that should be the end of the round, and Alu seals it with a nade. That is one that ENCE had no right to win, and even if they were going to have some heavy impact, you would have imagined Alu and Sergey with the Ops would be the ones finding the kills, but in fact, an Op only accounted for 1 frag that was found.
Even then, though, I think the fact that Alu was able to do that initial damage on the JW, putting him down to 20 health, just making them feel like, okay, we do have to be a bit cautious in this round. I think that was very, very impactful. Den also, of course, finding 1 kill for himself. So, I mean, yeah, you are still correct, though, that it is very surprising that the Pistols are able to get so much done in that round, considering how much ENCE have been struggling even on the full buys. But we do see that a lot of the time. I mean, when you have those pistols, obviously you can feel a little bit more free. There's less pressure on you. You're not expecting as much to come of the round, and perhaps you kind of just do something a little bit more risky. Obviously, risks, they sometimes backfire, sometimes they pay off. But this is now a round that ENCE do need to continue trying to actually build up some rounds with. Haven't got that previous one, great. But Fnatic, they had a pretty strong economy, so they're able to rebuy back in, and they're looking to try and just shut ENCE down here before they can really get any sort of momentum going. If they're able to just immediately pull them back onto another potentially weak buy in the next round, wouldn't be quite the case because of their money. But it's still not really a position that ENCE can afford to be in. Taking a slow though right now, Fnatic looking like they will just approach up through short. And I think ENCE, having lost B so many times already, have actually decided to go for a little bit of a stack in this round, expecting Fnatic, I guess, to go back to what was working so well for them early on in the half. For the moment though, not really the case. Just getting that short control, holding to wait and see if any aggression comes in around long or around tunnels. And it does seem like eventually they probably will commit this towards A.
Fnatic definitely looking to barrel on forward. Guessing we're seeing this is a similar smoke execute to what we've seen before. That last one's a little bit late, so it delays them moving forward. Golden, the first man in, looking for contact on site, can't find it. Alu picks off one with the op, but he's forced back to long afterwards. We've seen Fnatic do this quite a bit, but usually they're going to have a little bit of a long split later on with Crims and Flusha, but they decide against it this time, just fully committing in with such low time. Oh my god, Flusha. What was that on the drop down in CT? He's just taking down Sergey and Sunny. But yeah, this time, because there was so little time, they don't want to be pushing in through long late and risking the short players falling, losing the bomb, and leave the round. JW with a double as well. Man, X7 sat here wondering what the hell went on. Fnatic with a very convincing 14th on the board, provided X7 doesn't have a spin bot.
I don't think so.
You never know.
Not that I know. I mean, maybe he really wants that 5th spot. Who knows? Crims, though, comes in, gets the final kill. That was just heartbreaking. I said exactly what ENCE needed. They needed that round. It doesn't completely destroy their economy just because of the fact that, of course, they had won out a weaker buy just before that. So obviously that allowed them to get some weapons, minimize the investment in that round. But it's not a good position to be in. Sure, they win this one. They have a chance then to still come back, try and get a 16-14. But Fnatic will still have enough money for one more buy in the reserve. So it's going to have to be a couple in a row for ENCE, which, as I said, we are yet to see from them. And at this point, ideally, they can't drop another round if they want to get that win in regulation. And right now, Fnatic, as always, just feeling so confident. Crims actually being the man to try and lead that charge out long. Unfortunately, he will get caught. Aerial slowing him down during his B-hop, able to make it a very easy target indeed. And that is ENCE finding themselves the 5-on-4 very early into this round. Fnatic at least been able to get some short control for their efforts. They are still on the back foot for the moment, and you can see because of that, they are taking some gambles. Brolin actually trying to challenge towards A, ends up getting dinked up. And that's the risk. I mean, if it worked out, they'd be back in a 4-on-4. They'd have probably a favorable position. Instead, Brolin gets dinked, and now they're in an even worse position than they were before. That is the nature of the game. Brolin, he does at least take the op. Bogdan. Now they're going to bring it towards B. Especially with a player heavily tagged up, I do feel like this could end relatively poorly. They are going to leave Brolin around mid, though. I guess just scoped in so we can try and pick off one as they rotate.
Well, that means you got a lot of pressure on those players pushing out of the tunnels. Up above, easily done by Sergey. Spraying them down, almost taking a 3K. And with that, ENCE quickly deal with them. I mean, that late push through tunnels, it's a bit of a gamble. As you saw, sometimes gambles don't pay off. Now, Fnatic coming into this one, they've got to buy, but this is going to be the end of the road, really, for them. If they lose this, ENCE probably take the map. Going on to Mirage, where ENCE have won in the past, considering a pretty dominant T side from them here as well, you would definitely not be feeling too confident being Fnatic in this position.
No, I don't think either team is going to be feeling very confident at this point. Just ENCE, especially because they haven't chained any rounds together. Fnatic, though, just because it is 14-14. I mean, it happens all the time where you get so close on these comebacks and do fall short. Not the Fnatic in general, but just in CS, it is a thing that can happen. And it's always going to be there slightly in the back of your mind. But for now, I mean, as I said, they do still have that buy. But it's if they lose this one, really, where they're out of money, ENCE could be in a similar situation in the next round. So this could be the round that decides it. I mean, the loser of this one going to be fighting for an overtime with a very, very weak buy. Or at least a lot weaker than they would want it to be. Right now, though, Fnatic taking their time. I think they did maybe want to try and see what they could find on towards B initially as the round begun, but not really been able to do too much apart from a little bit of damage onto X7. So for now, they are going to be taking a little bit of time to advance through lower tunnel to try and get that short control for themselves. And for the moment, we're not really seeing any aggression from ENCE. So they should be able to find it relatively easy.
Problem is that yet again Fnatic have to go in pretty much blind, having not played very aggressive themselves. I love this though, the bomb going long, the smoke down in CT, that's going to keep the three-man stack towards the B bomb site and make it so much easier for these guys. Golden carefully giving the bomb to his teammate so as not to make a sound cue, but the nade comes in anyways and it does a lot of damage. Back turn, Golden goes out too early, the flash timing was horrible and Fnatic have lost the bomb on long. Sunny cautious in crossing over on middle. He knows they could be lurking around. Flush is gone. And with that, the round. 12 seconds left. 1v5 again for JW without his AWP this time. And he just hasn't got the time on the board. ENCE taking themselves a 15th. And that was so messy as well. At least he doesn't die after time, but that's about the only positive for Fnatic. I mean, the flash was so late. The player going through the smoke with his back turned. So much went wrong for them.
Yeah, that's the issue. I mean, obviously splitting your forces, trying to get both the control on both sides is ideal because you do want to be getting the control so that you can pincer in on the bomb site in case there is anyone in there in a spot that they can hide off. But the issue is then, obviously, you're splitting up your force a little bit. You're relying on two different groups to have success. And obviously, if one of them doesn't, then the plan is very likely ruined. And that is what happened. So ENCE, they do manage to find 15. They managed to get themselves map point finally. I mean, it took them forever to get these 4 rounds on the CT side. But now they have a really good chance to actually try and close it out. I mean, Fnatic aren't going to have the worst play we've ever seen. But as I said, coming into this round, whichever team lost that previous one, they would be definitely limited. They'd be scraping it together, trying to get whatever they can. It's given Fnatic 2 scouts, a Tech 9. Golden, does he have a weapon on the ground? Currently rocking a Glock. Is there? Yeah, I think there's a Deagle there on the ground under his feet. Yeah, eventually we'll pick that up. So, as I said, not the worst, but this is the chance. ENCE, they should be able to close this one out and take their map choice.
The possibility is certainly there, indeed the probability. Ariel almost gets taken out on long early on, but dodges the scout shot. You could hear it whistle past his ears. As ENCE maintain that control, you can now see the rotate coming in to stack up on short that little bit more, play on the bomb site. Fnatic have got a lot to do, still in spawn, looking to catch something with the scouts, but ENCE know they don't need to go aggressive. They know the kind of buy that they're up against, and realistically, you're not going to allow the attackers to grab that opening duel. There's no need to overextend. And Aid's not netting them as much as previously in towards mid. That Molotov's going to disrupt them, actually, quite a bit. Can't even cross over towards short safely enough. 1 minute on the clock. Fnatic not really spotted anything out just yet. Scouts still seen on the bottom of middle. Looks like they'll be grouping up and again looking to move into short. They've still got 3 smokes to play with, plenty of flashes and 2 mollies. So crossing over, let's take a look at the A site defense. Alu should be pushed back in the second by the flashes that come over, the smokes certainly, but he almost gets an opening for it. Usually when Fnatic set up for those smokes, they've already got one down at the close box. This time they decide not to do it, and you see why that's not really the best of ideas. They realize that the CTs are onto them as Golden falls to a nade. The rest of the team split up to B. X7 holding down, and Sergey, they've got to stop them here.
Yeah, Well, X7's ready. Already getting one. Follows up at a second. Sergey going to be able to help out. And it's JW, who didn't have a weapon for a moment. Trades out to that M4, but left with 14 seconds. 4 opponents. And at this point, having to reload as well now as they're all pushing him down. It is just impossible. 16-14 for ENCE. They are eventually able to get the victory here for themselves on Dust2. But very shaky